By the way, I think I need to do cooperative principles also. Actually, this topic, again, we need to do under conversation analysis. Right? For the time being, I will explain you, but with some examples, we can do it when we do this conversation analysis topic, right? Okay. Schemas and scripts. Now, when you say schema or schemata, right? What do you understand by that? What do you think?
Schema is just, madam, it's prior knowledge that we are having right now. So when we see,
Yes.
when we look into something, so we can use the prior knowledge. So that's called like schema.
Schema, right? Okay. So it's in the memory. Yes. The other one? Someone wants to convey your idea also? Any other? This is a discussion. Actually, it's not a lecture, right? Okay, so anyone can explain or express your ideas, right? Okay.
Image?
Yes, Vita? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
It's kind
What did
of
you say?
mental image.
Mental image, right? Okay. Yes. Others? That's very good, right? Mental image. But
Recording in progress.
yes.
Ma'am, it's a kind of a written document.
Written document. That, of course, I need to deny with you. If it is a written no, I'm asking about the schemas, Pata. Schemata, that's a single plural form. So schema is a, what do you mean by script? Is something that's a kind of a document, right? Okay, schema means.
I said, madam, it's about script. It's kind of a written document.
Yeah, that's related with the script. Yeah.
Schema referring to prior knowledge.
Prior knowledge. Okay, right. So it's correct, partially, of course. Yes, Pata.
It's a pattern of thoughts.
Pattern of thoughts.
Yeah.
It's a representation of a plan or theory.
Presentation of a what? What did you say?
A representation of a plan or theory.
Plan. Okay, right. I'm happy today because you all respond, right? So that's what I want actually. Rather than delivering a lecture one way, of course, this is I really like, right? So please, others also, please express your ideas, right? Okay. So now we'll move to this term. Actually, schema means it's something like it's exists in our memory, right? So all of your answers are related actually, but when we say memory, so we can get the knowledge, right? It's a kind of a like conventional knowledge which exists in our memory. So how does this memory exist? With our experience with the prior, you said prior experience. So prior knowledge related to the outer world, right? So the schemas, all the schemas are there in our memory or in the brain itself. So what do we do actually from this? When we live in the world, we experience. We meet people, we go to different places and interact with people, right? We do many actions, of course, would occur. So through all of them, what we gain is a kind of an experience to our life. So it will inherit in our memory. So for an example, if I get this very simple example, if I give this word to you, supermarket. So now what will happen in your brains, in your memory?
all the
You
goods
have,
that
Can
needed
create a
for the
yes,
picture of
yes.
supermarket.
Sorry,
We know what are the things there and
right, okay. What else?
we can see what the people, who are the people going.
We can visually
We can
visualize the
Yes,
things.
you can visualize it. When I say supermarket itself, at that second itself, you would visualize a supermarket, right? Okay, Cargill's or Food City or whatever, right? Okay, so you know that, right? How do you know? Because of your prior experience, right? With the world. So if you hear someone describe what happened during a visit to a supermarket, you don't have to be told what is normally found in a supermarket because it's already in your mind or in your memory, right? So you already have a supermarket schema. The food displayed on shelves, then they are arranged in aisles, then shopping carts are there, baskets are there, then the entrance is there, right? Then checkout counter, cashier, the place, right? So all these things, of course, automatically the image, as you said, the image would come into your mind. How did it come? Actually, with your prior experience only, you would get that. So when we have this prior experience, in our memory, it exists. How does it exist in our memory? As a schema, right? So supermarket schema is there. When I explain about something like a person had gone to a supermarket, if I give a definite place, Colombo might be, or Kandy city center, or any other place. So when you hear that word itself, you get the idea, and a lot of images related to that would occur in your brain. And it happens because of your prior experience. So these things we call it actually schema, right? So if I say school, so automatically, all of you are teachers. So of course, your own school where you teach would come into your mind, right? And the classrooms and the staff and the principal or whoever the authority, right? Even from the gate itself, the guard or security guard. So the school uniform, the children, the best students or weaker students or the mischievous guys. So all of them would come into your mind, right? So when I say or when I pronounce the term school itself, you get that image. So why is that? Because you have the previous experience related to that. So that we call schema, right? Okay. So what do you mean by a script then actually? A script, what's it? Can you tell me what do you think of this script?
This may
Somebody said
be
it's kind of
this may
a
be written text,
document. Yes.
kind of written text, maybe.
Kind of a written text. Okay. Oh, okay. Good. Others can add more to that answer.
Different schemata in the mind.
Different. All right. Okay. What else you can add to that?
Ma'am, it involves set of instructions.
Instructions. Okay, instructions. How do you define it, Putta? When you say instructions, what sort of instructions you say? Don't think of this term instructions. Rather than that, think of any other word.
Madam, is it a particular situation?
Situation, okay. Yeah. But when you say a situation, what would include in that situation?
It's a
For an
writing.
example, madam, in schema, we can say school, but when it comes to script, we can say some situation happened in the classroom or some
Happening.
incident.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, happening. Right, okay. Very good. So a situation in the sense, a series of actions, right?
Can
A
be a
series of
sequence of
conventional actions.
standard
Yes,
events.
events, right, okay. So kind of like events, right? So conventional actions taken place, right? So when we say one particular kind of schema is a script, right? A script is a kind of a dynamic schema actually. What do you mean by dynamic? Dynamic. Sorry?
It has some structures.
Structures, you said. I couldn't hear you. What did you say for that?
It has some sort of a flow.
Flow. Right. Okay. Events, as you said. Right. Dynamic means it's changing. It's not static. Schema is a static thing. Right. In our memory, when you say supermarket or a school or a bus stop, right, you get the idea, the image. So one particular kind of schema is a script. That script is kind of a dynamic schema. So in which a series of actions would be there. A series of, or else many events would occur. Right? For an example, you have a script for going to a dentist, right? Or going to the movies, like, right? So we all have versions of an eating in a restaurant also, right? So when we say a script, so the events would occur, series of actions would be there. It's not one static thing, it's a dynamic schema, right? Okay. For an example, here in your manual itself, it's given, right? Read this, will you? Trying not to be out of the office for long, Susie went into the nearest place, sat down and ordered an avocado sandwich. It was quite crowded, but the service was fast. So she left a good tip, right? So it's now when you read this, what is the schema that you would get? This is a script now, events are there. So when you read this script, what is the schema that you get?
A restaurant.
A restaurant, right? Okay. Second one, taking the train, traveling on an airplane, eating at a restaurant. Sorry, so these are like examples, right? Okay. So for an example, like in the train, traveling on a plane, eating at a restaurant, right? Or talking to someone. So these are, or the phone might be, or sometimes might be that you met, right? So these are like the schemas. But when it comes to a situation, when it comes to like a series of events, there you get the scripts. So schema, actually, it's something that is existing in our brain. They are like static things, right? But series of it. So when it comes to dynamic schema only, that means it's changing, right? A lot of events are embedded there in the situation. So there it becomes a script, right? Okay. So when you read this example about Susie, of course, so it's automatically in your brain, of course, you when you read the incident, you would get the term restaurant, or the image of a restaurant would be there, right? So that's a schema. But how did you get that schema? Actually, when you read this incident, the script, you got it, right? Okay, because of your prior experience of the world. So on the basis of our restaurant script, we would be able to say a number of things about the scene and events also. For an example, although the text does not have this information, now we would assume that Susie opened the door to get into the restaurant, and also that there were tables in the hotel or whatever the restaurant, and she ate the sandwich. Or sometimes you may come across with the image that she had gone to a very corner and a table where it was placed and sat there, or sometimes she might have met another friend also, right? Okay, so all these things would come into your mind, right? So that there were tables, and also she ate the sandwich, and then she paid for it, and so on, right? So these information, right, of this type can turn up in our or people's attempts to remember the text. And also it's a kind of an evidence of the existence of scripts. Actually, it's a kind of existence of schema also. Schema which is like lined up. So it's also a good indication of that the fact that our understanding of the world is there. Right? Okay. And from that, we would come out with our own interpretation also. So each of you, even myself, including myself, when we read this example, this script, in our brains or in our minds, we all have many kind of images, right? First thing is the restaurant schema, and then Susie. So how do you think of this girl? Is this person a female or a male? Of course, with the name, we would guess it that it's a female, right? Okay. And then Susie, the name itself, it will set you the idea that she might be not from Sri Lankan, right? Sri Lanka might be from some other country. So likewise, you may have many images depending on the schema that you get, right? Depending on the script, also you would have many images. How do we have this? With all our prior knowledge and also the experience related with the world, right? So clearly our understanding of what we read is not only based what we see on the page itself. It's not only the language structures, right? That when you read the example, trying not to be out of the office for long, there you get an idea. Susie went into the nearest place. So you would think, what is this place? Then sat down and ordered an avocado sandwich. When you hear the word sandwich or read the word sandwich, you would say, all right, this might be a restaurant or a hotel. So likewise, it's not only the language which was given in the text itself gives us the idea, right? It's related with the schemas also, which we have in our mind, but also on other things that we have in our mind, right? That means the knowledge structure, language structure and the knowledge structure. Language structure means the typical text which we read, right? But by reading itself won't make us a sense, right? So with our experience, that is the knowledge, right? So there we would make the prediction of our interpretations, right? So that is known as the knowledge structure. Okay. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes, madam. It is.
Ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I will give you an example before moving to the next topic, right? Okay. Mm. Okay, now listen to this. If you want, of course, take it down also. Right? Would you like to take it down?
Yes,
Would
ma'am.
you like to take it down or listen and answer me?
We take it down.
Ah, right. Okay. Okay, right. Then all of you take it down. Rocky, a name, Rocky. Rocky slowly got up from the mat. Rocky slowly got up from the mat, planning his escape. Full stop. He hesitated. A moment and thought. Full stop. Things were not going well. Full stop. What bothered him most? What bothered him most was being held. Especially since the charge against him had been weak. W-E-A-K, had been weak. He considered his present situation. The lock that held him was strong. But he thought he could break it. Okay. So now, what are your schema and what can you tell about this person and as well as the place and the events? Think I will give you 2 minutes.
Madam, it's a prison, and it's a prison, and he was charged for some illegal action. So he just think how to escape from the prison. But he already had been charged for some period of time. So anyhow, he's in the prison now with the unbreakable locks. Mean that it's mean he cannot come out either. However, so it's a just tough punishment, maybe long term, or maybe he's going to be headed, or some more punishment.
Okay, right, good. Anyone else? Are you all agree with your colleague? Yes? All right. Okay. All
Ma'am,
right,
some
right.
sort of mental frustration he has.
Yes, all right. Okay, so from the psychological aspect, you think of this person. First, identify the person. Who would be the person?
Dog.
Sorry?
I used to think it's a dog.
It's a dog.
It's a dog.
Okay. Right. What else? It can be a prisoner, it can be a dog.
Dog. It's in a cage.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
madam, with the prior knowledge, at it cannot be dog, because normally dog is not charged. Like mean, charge word is not used for the dog, so it should be. My guess is it should be a person.
Can't the master charge him?
Yeah, master can charge him. Yes. Give. I can.
So in
I
that
can.
case, it's correct.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Ma'am, in European countries, sometimes the pets are being charged when they are misbehaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, according to my skin, but I think like it's Rocky is a dog.
That's some
Even the madam, it's even the context is affected for this, really.
yeah, the context, yeah. The context is also right. Okay. So actually the title is A Prisoner Plans His Escape, right? But right now, when you think it can be a kind of a dog also, right? So it depends on our actually the experience, right? The schema which we have in our memory, right? So as soon as you hear the word escape, you would think it might be a prisoner, right? If the word cell is there, then of course, no doubt, directly you would think it's a prisoner. Again, of course, you would think, no, it can be a kind of an animal also, right? Okay. So where is Rocky? Where is Rocky?
In the cell.
He is inside.
Ah, okay. Is he alone?
Yes.
Is he alone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What has happened to him? If it is a prisoner? What has happened to him?
If it is a dog or a prisoner, he is in a small space. He or the dog trying to escape from the pit.
Right. Okay. So he is planning to escape. Right? Okay. So when you read these sentences, this is a script, right? Okay. So when you read this script, actually your schemata, right? It records, right? So there only you come out with your interpretations. So none of these interpretations are wrong, right? Okay. They are all correct. Okay. Because it depends on our schema with our previous experience in the memory, right? But if it is given in a text, the title, then of course definitely we have to think from that point of view, right? So here they have given the title, A Prisoner Plans His Escape, right? So now we'll change the title. So I'm going to change the title and I'm going to use this. The title is this: A Wrestler in a Tight Corner, right? A wrestler in a tight corner. So can you read the text again? Can you read the text again? By the topic is a wrestler in a tight corner. So who would be this Rocky? And is he alone? Or what has happened to him? Many, yes. Yeah, can you think of? Someone had put it into the chat. Child is with very strict parents. Do you think it's a child? Maybe. Yeah, most might be. It also can happen. So you have to come up with your interpretation there.
It is the chain of the shells, and one see each other, and Rocky is a man
Mm.
in the corner of the one shell, and still thinks to get out from it.
Right. Okay. So see, Vedu, now when you have a title, when you have a topic, of course, that topic would give you the whatever this schema. The line of schema would arrive in your brain, right? So when you read a title itself, only you would get that. So when you read a script, you can have many interpretations, right? So if I had given you the title first, right? A prisoner plans his escape. That title at the very beginning itself, before giving the script itself, then automatically you have the idea. There is nothing, I mean, like for you to think, right? So your schema would already, fixed when you hear the word prisoner itself at the very beginning. But I didn't give you this title, and I made you to think about it. Then only you came out with your own interpretations, right? Okay. So likewise, script is something, a series of events or happenings, or what do you say? Actually, it's like conventional actions or lineup of the schemata, right? Okay. So schema is a kind of a like a fixed thing in our brain. When we have the experience of that, it's there in our memory, right? So, and afterwards, when we get a kind of a like a incident or a happening, then there, of course, when we read the text, we get the idea from the help of this schema, right? Okay. So when it comes to the topic itself, if we change the topic also, there again our schema would change. And because the topic is given, a wrestler, so then again you would think from the another or a different point of view. So this Rocky, the person might not be a kind of a prisoner. There again you think of a wrestler like. So from the point of that only you would collect the information to your brain or the memory. Okay. So those are like the schemas and the scripts. Are there any questions for you?
No, madam.
Okay.
All clear.
Clear. Right. Then we'll move to this ethics of data. Before doing that, I will explain a little bit the cooperative principles. All these other subtopics which we had discussed the first session during the last week, I think you don't have any thing to clarify. If you have anything to clarify, just tell me, right? Right. So the cooperative principle, actually this cooperative principle is a theory related with the conversation analysis, right? There is a theory known as conversation analysis. Under that only we need to study this, but for the time being I will just explain you. So if you don't get the meaning or the idea here very precisely, don't worry, right? In the latter part of our sessions, of course, we would deal with this, right? Okay. So cooperative principle, it was given by Paul Grice, a scholar known as Paul Grice, and it's known as kind of like Gricean maxims also. So when he talked about the conversation analysis theory, there he stated, what do you mean by conversation analysis? It's a kind of like you are conversing with the with people actually, right? So what sort of conversations would you deal when you are living in the world itself, in your day-to-day life? What sort of conversations would you deal? Give me one or two examples.
We argue, planning,
Arguments, planning, then
requesting.
Incident.
incidents, right? Okay.
Discussions, madam.
Discussions, right? Okay. Yes, good. So conversation analysis is it's a kind of an approach to study of social interactions. So all these things, when we talk about language or the discourse, actually, that means we are dealing with people. We are interacting with people. So how do we interact with people? By conversing. So related to both, it can be verbal as well as it can be non-verbal context also. So it's related with socio-linguistic subject. So in socio-linguistics, conversation analysis is known as talk in interaction. And also it's related with ethno-methodology. Ethno means like people, right? Okay, population. So it's a kind of a theory related with this ethno-methodology area. So it's the study of the talk or the speaking produced in course of ordinary human interactions, right? So there was a sociologist known as Harvey Sachs. He is the one who had generally credited this, found in this term, conversational analysis. So there are, when we deal with people, you may have conversations. So how do we deal the conversations? There are many ways that we can study about it. So analyze about it. So in our discourse analysis subject also, what we do is that. So it can be a kind of a like a meet up with a friend, or it can be a kind of a official meeting, or it can be an informal meeting, or it can be a sermon, right? It can be sometimes a kind of a like a speech, public speech. So there are, or an interview, right? Okay, so there can be many kind of like conversations. So observing these conversations, what we do as the students who study discourse analysis is we are trying to guess the context, and also context means the situation, right? Okay, so and identifying the characters and the theme of it. Likewise, we are trying to get that. So in a conversation, of course, you have already known that there are some features like turn taking, then also like pauses, fillers, back channeling, then overlapping is there. And so all these features can occur in a conversation. So Grice, he introduced, when we converse with the others, there are some rules, or actually they are like not the rules, but of course there are things that we need to adhere to, like. So he gave a name which is known as maxims, right? So that's why we say Gricean maxims, or Grice apostrophe S, Grice maxims. So Gricean maxims, when we cooperate with the other people, when we converse or interact with the other people, we use these things, right? So assumptions in interlocutors are cooperative in constructing a conversation. So the Gricean maxims for supporting the principle. So he came out with principles, 4 principles, right? So the first one is known as the quantity maxims. 4 maxims are there. First one is the quantity. Then second one is the quality. Third one is the relation maxims. And the fourth one is the manner maxim, right? So when you converse with the other people, First thing is that you need to think about the quantity. Make your, now, if a dialogue is going on, right? So we need to make sure, right, our contribution as informative as is required, right? But not more or less or than it is required, right? So when, if it is a, I mean, like a very informal chat, like, then of course, I don't think these maxims would adhere. When you have a friend and when you gossip around and all, of course you don't have. But still, when you make a like a formal conversation, right, or a discussion or an interview, of course you would think. And even sometimes when you meet a friend, even, right, sometimes you might adhere to these. So now, for an example, the first one I'm talking of, right, the quantity. So when you say quantity, we say do not contribute more or less, right? So there are some violations also. For an example, suppose there are two people, A and B. So A says they have two dogs. A says they have two dogs. So B says, will they buy a third? So the B's question is that, will they buy a third? Then A replies, they already have a third. Right? A replies, they already have a third. When you say like that, what do you understand by this? A's response. The information provided, is it less or is it more? Okay. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Yeah. Okay. So why suddenly all of you are silent?
I'm difficult to come to
Thinking.
the conclusion, ma'am.
Difficult to comprehend. Oh, okay. Let me simplify it then. Now, maxims means actually these are like the rules. When we converse, when we talk with people, we automatically, we are not paying attention on them, but still we manage, right? We adhere to these rules, like, okay. So what are these rules? Actually, four rules are there, four principles are there. So they are known as Gricean maxims. So first maxim is the quantity. Second, quantity, right? Okay, that means the, like, what do you say? It's like, it's related with this information now. When you say quantity, it's not something that you count, right? Okay. Right here, you refer to the information, right? When two people are talking, so when they are talking, actually, we have to talk. If it is related to a topic like, so then now here the example which I gave you, it's two people talking about another one's dogs, right? Okay. So with related to quantity, you have to have this principle. What is that principle? The information, or it should be the contribution as informative and also as it is required to what? To continue the conversation, right? But not more than or less than it is required. So I said, no, there are some violations, right? When we converse with the people, there are some violations occur. We call them flouting also, flouting. So they are like actually part of conversations. It happens automatically. Sometimes sarcasm can be there, sometimes fun would add, right? Or sometimes can be politeness would be there. Okay, so these are like violations. So likewise, when you think of this first maxim, That the quantity maxims, the information might not given as required. We always think now, Bryson says, we need Grice, actually his name is Paul Grice, right? Okay. So he says there should be a kind of a quantity maximum. So quantity maximum means related to information, it should be only required information should be provided, not more than or not lesser than what is required. So, but it won't happen every time. So violations can occur. And when violations are there, it's authentic. Right? In our natural talk, it happens. And it should happen also. Otherwise, it will be a kind of a like very stereotype thing. Right? Okay. So just imagine when you meet two friends, right? What a lot of things that you would talk. And sometimes you would bring fun or sarcasm or tease your friend also. Right? Okay. So sometimes when you want to tease your friend, of course, you would not, like give the required information, but you would provide more information. Sometimes it might be lie or it might be a lie, right? Okay, but anyway, you would not provide the required information. So that's a kind of a violating the quantity. Now look at this example. A and B are there. A says they have 2 dogs. Then B asks, will they buy the third one? Right? So B's question is, will they buy the third? Then A again says, they already have a third. So when you think of this last utterance, they already have a third, it won't produce or it won't provide us enough information. Because if A says they already have a third, then this A's first utterance, they have 2 dogs, that sentence is violating. It's wrong. Isn't that so? Right? Can you understand?
Yes, madam.
How about the others? Am I
Yes,
clear?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now, if you want, you can take down also, but anyway, don't worry. For the time being only, I'm explaining these things. Later on, with some more examples, we can analyze this, right? Okay. For the time being, just keep it in your mind. The 4 maxims.
Madam, is that
Yes.
like a double barrel question? The opposite
No,
of the double?
yeah. Yes. Right? Yeah. It can be. Right? So now when we say A first says they have 2 dogs. So when you hear that sentence or the utterance, you automatically think they have 2 dogs. Right? So then B's question is okay. Right? Will they buy a third? Automatically you would ask them. But then A again says, no, they already have a third. So when you hear the last sentence, then you have a doubt with A's first utterance, isn't that so? So they do not provide enough information. So this here, of course, what has happened is the information is more than what is required, right? Okay. So the quantity, it's related with the quantity. That's why we say quantity maxims. And it's a kind of a violation of the quantity maxims, right? So always we have to make contribution as informative as it is required. But it's not happening here in our conversations. Sometimes it can happen, sometimes it not, right? Okay, so that is known as quantity maxims. Okay. Then when you say the second one, quality maxim, right? So it is depending on the quality. Do not say that which you believe to be false. So we cannot, you have to talk truthfully, right? So do not say that which you believe to be false or for which you lack adequate evidence. If you don't have any evidence, also must not tell. So that is related with the quality maxims, right? Or as we say maxims of quality. So what is actually underlying here is you should or we should speak truthfully and never contribute false beliefs. So, whereas again, there can be violations. It won't happen now every time we won't talk truthfully. Are we? Are we?
I am, madam. I don't know about others.
More, others are like deaf and dumb. I don't know why they are numb.
When we are with friends, we sometimes
Ah.
violate.
When we are, yes, if you are too official, then of course you would never violate it, right? Yes, you always would like stick to genuine thoughts and also truthful, right? But when you meet friends and all, of course, you would violate this, right? Okay. So this is the next example for that. This was taken from a book actually. George failed his exams, right? George failed his exams. So the person again says he's very smart. What do you understand by this? One person says George failed his exams, and there again he says he's very smart. Just assume this is a very informal situation, like what sort of a violation is there? What sort of a violation?
George failed the exam is the truth.
Yeah, that is the truth. Yeah. So he says George failed his exams and he is very smart.
The quality maxim, ma'am. The quality maxim is being violated.
Quality, yes, it's correct. The maxims of quality is violated here. Why is that? You have to guess it from the last utterance, that from the second utterance only.
That indicates what to believe. He's a smart.
What you believe, very good, very good. So what is the violation then? I'm trying to guess the word, I'm trying to get the word from you all. Starting with
maybe self-confident.
Self-confident. I suppose this statement was given by another friend about George. Let's see. Let's think like that.
He's failed, but he pretends that he's smart.
Yeah, George failed his exams.
But he pretends that he has passed the exam.
No. Don't think like that. Only think of these two utterances. Don't think about George, right? Okay.
No, ma'am, his friend is believing. His belief is given on the second utterance. He's a smart.
His belief.
Yeah.
Though George is talented for only for that particular exam, he might have failed.
Right. Okay. Now, what we do is
that, madam,
we are trying to think from the point of George and his friend. No, I'm just asking you to only think of two utterances. Don't come to conclusions about friend and also George.
is it violating of the is it the prior knowledge, madam, here?
Yes, this is a violation. Violation
Yeah,
of what?
violation.
It's not truth.
Quality.
It's not
Yeah,
the truth.
it's not true. Yes.
It's not true, but also he is giving a kind of a false belief. Right? So it's not a truth, but the person who is talking, giving the two utterances, right? He is giving a kind of a false belief. Right? So when he says George failed his exams and he says he's very smart. Right? So what sort of thing that you get? Now, suppose this friend is not a very close friend of him. Might be a competitor in the classroom itself, a classmate who is having a kind of like a competition always with George. Youngsters are like that now. Think of such a situation like.
Contrary.
The sarcasm is there, ma'am.
What's it, Puta? At last I got the answer.
Sarcasm is there.
Sarcasm, right? Okay. So when you hear this, George failed his exams. Suppose there's another person known as Thomas. So Thomas says George failed his exams and he's a very smart guy. Or else he's very smart. So if this person, if this friend is not in good terms with him, right? Not a very close friend, might be a kind of there are teenagers know in a classroom itself who are, always going, against of others, but they are friends actually, right? Okay. So if he says like that, Thomas says like that, George failed his exams and he's very smart. So that he is very smart. That context only we have to take it. That utterance only we have to take it. From that we can think he is telling it with the sarcasm, right? Okay. So the George might not be very smart actually. He might be an average student who might be a weaker student also, right? Okay. So George failed his exams, but he says he's very smart. So it's not his genuine thoughts actually, right? So he's giving a false belief and also with sarcasm only, right? Okay. So he's not talking truth as well as he's giving a false belief, and how and why he gives, he might be wanting to tease that person, right? Okay. So sometimes he might be having some sort of a envy, right? Okay. So with sarcasm only he is giving this utterance, the second utterance. So there we say it's a violation of the quality maxims of quality, or the quality maxims. In quality maxim, what we do is we do not say that which you believe to be false or for which you lack adequate evidence. Right? Am I clear with that? All
Somewhat,
are
madam.
Only one voice is raised. Oh dear. Please let me know if you don't understand. Don't take it seriously into your head, because right now this is the second session. No? So when it comes to the third unit, again, we are revising these things and adding more examples. Right? For the time being, just keep it in your minds that there are 4 principles like this. Right. So let's move to this third one. Third one is the relation maxims. That means it's easy, be relevant. Right? So that is the idea. So when we are conversing, always, most of the time, of course, we talk with relevant information. So that is the idea here. But there again, sometimes if it is informal situation or with friends and all, sometimes it can be, there can be a violation, right? So suppose like this, A says, how did he sing? Sorry, ask a question, right? How did he sing? So B's answer is, he looked wonderful. When A asks, how did he sing? B's answer is, he looked wonderful. What do you think of it?
Madam, if you
The
don't mind,
answer is irrelevant.
B's answer is irrelevant. Yes, the other one, what did you say? What do you want to say?
Madam, can you give that example again, please?
Right. A says, how did he sing? A question raised. How did he sing? Then B's response is, he looked wonderful. He looked wonderful. And B says he looked wonderful.
That means the sick person is serious.
Sorry.
Wonderful mean he or she is serious, the person.
Uh,
So it's also sarcasm or
sarcasm. Okay. Other than that, think of the relevancy.
Madam, we have to give remarks on his singing, but here it
Mhm.
is irrelevant. The
Exactly.
second person gives something about his look.
Right. Oh, that
Appearance
means
of this
yes. Pooja? Someone wanted
ma'am,
to tell?
comment is on regarding appearance, not about the performance.
Not about the performance. Yes. So when A asked the question, how did he sing? So automatically we should answer, he sang beautifully or something like that, right? But he says, instead of that, B says, he looks wonderful. So he's talking about his appearance, right? So B is expressing that person sang badly, but he did not tell it, right? We wanted to tell that, but he won't talk about his performance, but instead of that, he talks about his look or his appearance, right? So the B's answer, as you said, B's answer is not relevant to the question. So they are violating the maxims of relevance or the relation maxims. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then we'll move to the fourth one, that is the manner maxim or manner of maxims or maxims of manner, we call it. That means whatever the things that you talk, it should not provide ambiguity, right? It should avoid ambiguity, and also when we talk, be clear, brief, and orderly, right? So when you converse with your friends, or might be a very informal manner, or might be in an office in a very formal manner also, whatever things that you need to adhere to this principle, manner maxim. That means clear and brief and orderly. So must avoid ambiguity. Ambiguity means, what do you mean by ambiguity?
With hidden meaning.
Double
Hidden. Double meaning. Okay, hidden meaning, double meaning. I learned a lot of things from you now, right? Okay. Yes. Ambiguous means?
Ignorant.
Can be a quality that is open more than one interpretation.
More than one interpretation. Yeah. It's not clear. It's not clear, right? So for some, of course, my explanation also might be ambiguous now. Right? So we have to avoid ambiguity. It's to the point we have to give it. To the point, it should be clear, whatever the utterance or the things or the information must produce in a very precise way, right? Brief and orderly. Be clear. So that's what we say, manner maxim or maxim of manner, right? That is avoid ambiguity. And there can be violations again, right? Now, if you hear this example, this is, of course, I have taken from a book actually, but anyway, we'll discuss about it. Could you maybe please grab that thing in the garage for me if you have time? So when you hear this, of course, for you, you would think it's a nonsense sentence.
Record.
When you say, could you maybe please grab that thing in the garage? Of course, you think, because you are aware of the language, you know that this is a kind of a like nonsense sentence. It's ambiguous for you to comprehend. It's for you, it's a little bit difficult to comprehend that. So you would think, what is this? Right? Okay. So if you cut some phrases, maybe, please, if you cut something, some phrases, then of course you might be able to get it a kind of a clear picture. If you cut maybe and please, then it could be, could you grab the thing in the garage for me? And if suppose if you cut the phrase, if you have time also. So the sentence would be, or the whatever the request would be, could you grab the thing in the garage for me? Right? So by hearing this utterance or whatever the sentence, we know that this is not a kind of a like a clear sentence or an utterance, right? Okay, so that means it is ambiguous. So when you are conversing with the others, of course, we need to adhere to these 4 principles. So manner maxim is the last one, 4th one, right? So what do you mean by manner? It should be brief and also clear and orderly. Okay, right. So these are the corporate, the what do you call these maxims? 4 maxims are coming under cooperative principles. Let's see here. There is an example. During a lunch break, one woman asks another how she likes the sandwich. She is eating and receives the following answer. What is the answer here? What is the answer?
Oh, a sandwich is a sandwich.
Dots are there, right? Oh, a sandwich is a sandwich. She replies in that manner. So what do you think of it? Don't read the whatever the text here. Just you think, will you genuinely? When someone asks about how about the food and all, the sandwich. So this person says, oh, a sandwich is a sandwich. So what do you understand by that? What can you say about it?
She's not enjoying her lunch.
Sorry, Pute?
She's not enjoying her lunch.
The person is not enjoying the lunch. Okay. Or the sandwich. Okay. What else?
Maybe she's angry at the person who asked.
So you are coming with your interpretations. Yes. Maybe the woman, whoever the person who is having the sandwich might be angry or a little bit frustrated. Sometimes she might not like that the other person who had asked about the sandwich.
And
right?
maybe he passed some hint.
Maybe. Yes, Pute?
She passed some hint.
She passes some hint.
Yes.
What sort of hint?
And she's really giving the interpretation, and normally the sandwich is expected to as a taste a delicious food. So she tells its sandwich is delicious in round numbers. It's delicious.
Is she implying that the sandwich is delicious? Is she implying that?
Yeah, the sandwich is delicious. Oh, sandwich is a sandwich.
In both way we can take.
Okay.
She's
harsh.
She's rude manner answering. In a rude manner. She doesn't like to cooperate.
Why you say like that? Why are you saying like that? Why are you saying like that?
The answer is not pleasant. Pleasant way of.
The answer is yes, ma'am. The answer is rude. Though the answer is rude, though the answer is rude, there can be multiple interpretation.
Yes, yeah. So it's really nice. Very good. You are a very good thinking.
It's a double meaning.
Double meaning. Yeah, it can be a double meaning. Let's see. So when the woman is the other person is asking how about the sandwich, so what do you expect now? Suppose you are in such a situation, the other person says, or a sandwich is a sandwich.
Ma'am is not ready to speak. Not
Maybe
willing to
mocking.
communicate with others.
Not ready to share.
Not ready
Right.
to have a
Mhm.
converse
Right.
with.
Right. Okay. Not ready to progress in the conversation. So that might be the reason that she had given this kind of a statement, harsh statement, utterance. Or else, what else? You can think.
Sometimes we can say that as a joke, we say like that, oh, a
Yeah.
sandwich.
Sandwich is a
Depending on the
sandwich.
situation, we can predict it.
Madam, kind of mocking.
Kind of
Mocking.
mocking.
Oh.
Why you say like that?
Mm.
Why are you saying like that? It might
The
be
person
correct.
doesn't like to answer, give answer, reply, not ready to give answer.
Okay, right. So let's see this explanation. When you hear this, oh, a sandwich is a sandwich, in logical terms, this reply appears to have no communicative value, right? Why? Since it states something obvious and doesn't seem to be informative at all. දැන් අපිත් ඔය සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ අයියෝ සෑන්ඩ්විච් එකක් කියන්නේ සෑන්ඩ්විච් එකක් නේ. කියලා යාළුවට අපි කියන්න පුළුවන්, right? මෙතන මොකක්ද දාන්නේ මොකද්ද මේකේ තේරුම කියලා අහන එකටනේ අපි මේ උත්තර දෙන්න හදන්නේ. So that means sometimes it can be a sarcasm, sometimes it can be a teasing also, sometimes arrogant also. The person might not be very pleasing to converse with the other person also. So therefore, this person might be giving such a kind of an answer. But anyway, this answer is not informative at all. Piece of utterance is not informative at all, isn't it? To the question in the sense that the other person's question. Is it providing any kind of information?
No.
No.
No,
Right?
but we can predict, no, madam.
Sorry?
Though it, we can predict, no.
We can predict the situation. Yeah, of course, we can predict the situation. But what I ask is, now with this utterance, with this answer, can we get a kind of informative ideas here? Are we provided more information from this answer?
No.
No,
No.
man.
No. Yes, instead of that, if this person answered like this, oh, the sandwich is really tasty and it has what you call all these bacon and tomatoes and cheese and everything and all, explaining all these things, then how would it be? Is the answer informative to you all?
Yes, it will be informative.
Yes. Right. Okay. And also with the tone and the enthusiasm that the whoever the eater is providing, there from that also you can guess. Right. Okay. So when you say, oh, a sandwich is a sandwich, there we don't find any information. Right. So we come to many interpretations, of course, thinking about this person. Right? We say that she might be very rude and also not pleasant and not willing to talk with the other person. Right? All these interpretations can come to our minds, of course. But if we think about the information provided from the point of principles of all these cooperative principles, right? So we are not provided enough information here. Right? So, and it doesn't seem to be informative at all. The answer is not informative at all. But if the woman is being cooperative, friendly, right, and want to talk with the other person who had raised the question, so then, and adhering to the quantity maxim, right? So she would give more information, more relevant information, and also the manner would be very clear and precise, right? Okay. So the quantity and also the quality of the whatever the information given there, right? So all these would be there. So the quantity maxim about being as informative as is required. Here, what has happened here with the utterance? If you think about the quantity of maxims,
It is not informative. So
Is it informative as it is required?
No.
No.
No, we don't get it enough information. So it's less than which is required. So it's a kind of a violation again, right? Our principle is we need to provide quantity maximum, means that is the information which we provide should be as required. It should not be lesser or more. Here what has happened is it's not more, it's lesser, right? So when you think of the information is not as it is required. It is not as quantity wise if you get, it's not providing the quantity, right? So that means it's violating the quantity maximum. Then the listener must assume that her friend is communicating something, right? So given the opportunity to evaluate the sandwich, her friend has responded without an explicit evaluation, thereby implying that she has no opinion. Now, sometimes it can be like that also, right? Good or bad can be right? Just for the having for the sake of having the sandwich, of course, she might be having it without enjoying it. So therefore, she is lacking the understanding of giving the answer whether it is tasty or not, good or bad, to express. So that is, her friend has essentially communicated that the sandwich isn't worth taking about. Sometimes you can come up to this interpretation also. When you say, or a sandwich is a sandwich, if the person is not very harsh, but with a very close friend, then of course you can come up to this interpretation also. The sandwich is not having worth. It's not worth. It's not tasty කියන එක තමයි කියන්නේ, bad කියන එක. So the sandwich isn't worth taking about. Right? Okay. So when you hear kind of like these, what do we call these maxims, in our conversations, daily conversations, of course, those things happens, right? And we try to adhere to those principles also, but it's a normal thing that we violate them, right? So violating all these 4 maxims is not a sin, right? In our conversations, it happens, and it's normal. Okay. Right. That is all
ma'am,
about.
that means you are saying that the answer, the sandwich is not a sandwich, is a sandwich is not coming under quantity maxims.
Quantity.
It's quantity.
Yeah. Why it won't provide us much information. She says, or a sandwich is a sandwich. More than that, she won't tell. So is it informative? Is it informative?
Yes, it's informative.
Yeah,
right?
the others, how do you think? The others, did you listen to your colleague? What can you say about it? Others, please talk.
It's less informative, ma'am, because if we ask the question from someone like that, what about the sandwich? Oh, sandwich is a sandwich. If we get that response, if you like, for the opinions which my colleagues gave, likewise, she's not ready to talk. The information is less regarding the question we forward.
Regarding the question, yes. Okay. Regarding the question, yes, very good. So sometimes she might reply in this manner, oh, a sandwich is a sandwich. If the sandwich is not tasty, she can't, express it. So therefore, she might come out with this utterance. Right? Okay. So, but anyway, with the question, whoever the person, the friend, right, during a lunch break, one woman asks another how she likes the sandwich she is eating and receives the following answer. So, with this answer, it won't fulfill the first person's question actually. Isn't that so? Will she be happy with this answer when she hears it?
No.
No, right? So that means it's not informative for that question to answer.
Yes, but for ma'am, the quantity maxim, the
Yeah.
contribution should be informative, right? But here it is not,
Yes,
not informative.
that's why I'm telling it's violating. It's violating, Putta. It's violating the maxim, the quantity maxim. It's not providing us the enough or required information.
Information to be quantity maxims.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a violation.
Yeah. But it can be a relation maxim, right?
Yes. It can be a relation. Yeah. Yeah, the answer is relevant, of course. Or a sandwich is a sandwich. When you say sandwich is a sandwich, the other person, of course, won't. Now, if I ask you, how about the biryani? How about the biryani when you have in the hotel or the restaurant? You say biryani is a biryani. So, is that the answer that I expect? No. I expect that you would say it's really tasty and they have had all these things and all these things, but not artificial things. So very good. You would encourage the other person also, for me also, to taste that in that hotel, the same food or the meals, right? But instead of that, if you said, biryani is a biryani. So then I get the understanding, since it is not informative for me, I get the understanding that the biryani is not tasty at all. Right? Okay. Or else, I may think you are not willing to converse with me, or you are not friendly with me, or you don't want to share that information with me. Like, so it's our interpretation. But if we are adhering to these maxims, principles, of course, if you are thinking about the answer, then to the question, it is not required. The information is not enough. That's why we say it is violating the quantity maxims. Right? Adhering to the quantity maxim about being as informative as is required. Then the listener must assume that her friend is communicating something. Okay? Don't know whether I'm clear. Am I?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Still, you have doubt?
No, ma'am. It's clear.
Right. So when you are in leisure, also go through these examples and see. And even sometimes when you come across with, now we are like English teachers now. So when you teach literature and all, also see in the conversations and all dialogues and all in your whatever the text, right? Sometimes you might come across such things, right? Okay. So others, do you have any other questions? If not, I can move to the next topic. No. Now won't answer also. Oh dear.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, Sudha.
Yes. Can you explain us on implicators too? That day you told us that you will explain us on implicators after you taught us the cooperative principle.
Implicators. Implicators. Good that you remind me. Okay. Implications, and what is the other topic? Implications and only that?
Yes, ma'am.
Implicatures. Right. Okay. Now, implicatures means it's like the hidden meaning, right? Now, suppose if you hear at the very beginning, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you, when I deal, since there is a recording, of course, no problem for you. Some topics, of course, I may discuss with you all, right? Okay, so it's not there in your, whatever these examples and all might not be in the manual itself. So you might be maintaining a kind of a notebook, no? So, or some papers, please jot down them. Sometimes when I read the examples and all, please write them. It will help you when you go for the exams, right? Okay. So I might not remind you all these things since you are scholars who are studying for a degree. So please jot down all these examples and all, right? Okay. So when you say implicators, implicator is a kind of like an additional meaning conveyed, or it can be a hidden meaning also, right? Meaning conveyed by a speaker adhering to the cooperative principle. Now, here the example. Are you coming to the party? Carol asking, are you coming to the party? So Lara's answer is, I have got an exam tomorrow. Right? So what do you think of this? With your understanding of these maxims?
Lara indirectly says that she cannot come. That means no.
Indirectly, yes. Right? So the question is, are you coming to the party? If that question is raised, what would be the expected answer? Yes or no?
No.
Right? Yes, yes or no. Instead of that, what does she say? I have got an exam tomorrow. So coming out with a reason. Right? So here Lara's statement is not an answer to Carol's question. So Lara doesn't say yes or no, but Carol will immediately interpret that the answer means no. Yes. So Carol, of course, with common sense, of course, she would understand by hearing this answer, oh no, she won't come tomorrow. Right? So it seems to depend, at least partially, on the assumption that Lara is being relevant and informative. Right? So with regard to relevancy, what can you say? Is this answer relevant?
No.
No, but the interpretation, of course, Carol can make and she can understand by giving that answer, right? By hearing that answer, right? Okay. But if you think of from the point of maxims, of course, it's irrelevant, right? So Lara is being relevant and informative, adhering to the maxims of relations and quantity. Okay. Now, another example I will give you. That is related with hidden meaning, right? Okay, implicators. One person is asking, did your gym close down? Did your gym close down? What can you think of? Did your gym close down? Suppose you meet a friend. I'm not talking about that friend's appearance. If I talk about that, then of course, definitely you would guess it. So think of it. So you're asking, did your gym close down these days? What is the hidden meaning?
He's overweight.
Right. Okay. So without telling that the other person is fat, right? So that is the hidden meaning. You are so fat. But instead of that, you would ask, did your gym close down these days, right? Okay. So that means it's a kind of an implicator, a hidden meaning, or it can be additional meaning also. right? Okay. So those are known as implicators. Someone had written, what's it? The answer, I was little bit late because of her mood of that time. This might be an answer related to the sandwich. Isn't that so? Mary, yes. Mary, the audio is not working. Okay. Right, anyway, the speaker. Anyway, we'll move to this topic. Implicator, is it clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Just
Okay, right. So then, what is the other topic that I missed? Only those two, no? Background knowledge? Yes, I did it with this example also. I could remember. It's about John. Can you remember?
Yes.
Right. Then schema and scripts. Yeah, that's all the terms in discourse analysis. Terms in the sense for our particular course actually, right? Okay. Again, we'll move from top to bottom. Let me, before coming to data ethics. Fill pauses, pause fillers, they are clear to you, I think. And overlapping and interruptions. These things can happen. It happens in our discussion also, overlapping, right? And interruptions. Those things can occur in any kind of a conversation. And turn taking, right? Here also. So think of our discussion also. So turn taking is also taking place here, right? And when even the cooperative principles, of course, sometimes, right? Okay. Most of the time, of course, it's adhering to the principles, but sometimes it can be violations also. Hedges. You know what are hedges? What are hedges? What are hedges?
The phrases we use when we are not sure.
The phrases where we if we are not quite confident in that, or if you are not quite sure about it, then of course in our conversations we might use some sort of phrases like this, sort of, right, kind of. Okay, so what else? Are there any other hedges?
It means that means
According to my point of view, I think so. It might be. What else?
I mean.
Sorry, Peter?
I mean.
perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah. So hedges means, hedges can be defined as a word or a phrase used to indicate that we are not really sure that what we are saying is sufficiently correct or complete. So we can, there we use sort of, these are like examples or kind of as hedges in the accuracy of our statements. So for an example, like if we are not quite sure about the color of, no, the size, whether it is long or short hair, all right, okay, so then we can say his hair was kind of long. So the guy wage කියලා අදහසනේ අපි කියන්නේ, kind of long, right? Okay, so we are not quite sure about it. Sometimes it can be long, sometimes it might not. The book cover is sort of yellow. So rather than it is yellow, you say sort of yellow. Sorry, කහපාටට හුරු කියන අදහස කියන. So sort of yellow. It's not definitely yellow. So if you are quite sure about it, then you might say the cover is yellow color. Definitely you would say it. But if you are not quite sure, so then you say it's sort of yellow, like, okay. So these kind of phrases we call it or named as hedges. Okay. What else? Implications we did. Background knowledge, of course, I will know. Schema and scripts. Okay, right. So now let's move to the new topic. Of course, I thought of I would be able to start by 7 with this new topic because I have a lot of things to share. Anyway, we'll see, right? Okay, I don't think I would be able to complete this topic today, but anyway, we'll start and then by 8:10 we'll wind up. Okay, so when the new topic, this is a new topic, ethics of data collection. Now, before coming to data collection, this is a kind of like a normal question to you, right? So when we deal with data, right, data collection, where can we use them, these kind of data? Where do you hear the term data or the collection of data?
In IT field?
In IT. Right, okay, in IT field. Then another answer?
Research.
In researchers, ma'am.
Researchers, right, okay. Where else?
In relation to analyzing.
In relation to analyzing. Analyzing what? What are you going to analyze? Yes, it's correct. Your data. Right, okay. What else? Yes? You get data? No, any other answer?
To get a conclusion?
Yes, to get a conclusion, right? So in research, in any kind of subject, in any kind of discipline, of course, you would be able to collect data, right? Not only in computer science, it can be some other social sciences also, like, right? Okay. Or any other, what do you call it? Hard sciences also, right? Not only the soft sciences. So when it comes to discourse analysis means we are dealing with languages, and we are analyzing how these languages or these languages occur in our day-to-day life, or it might be any other conversations, right? So what we do is we are analyzing the language, right? So here, when it comes to research area, we think of collecting data. So in our context, right, the data means like this is a social science. No, discourse analysis is also a part of linguistics. Linguistic means studying about languages in a scientific way. So they are, and also related with this pragmatism, the usage. So therefore, collecting the data. These data, of course, would be like most of the time might be anthropologists dealing with, or else sociologists, right? So who are anthropologists? Who are anthropologists? Who are sociologists? About society. Okay. Then anthropologist.
who are believing about the relationship between the customs, beliefs, or relation, yes, customs and beliefs.
Customs and beliefs means like culture, identifying
Yeah,
concepts in
culture.
cultural
Yeah,
life.
yes, ma'am.
Study of humanity.
Okay. What is the difference between a sociologist and an anthropologist? Anyway, both of them are collecting data and analyzing it and doing research. So anthropologist means
Madam, anthropology means like systematic or scientific study of humanity and understanding how humans evolution, origin and all that.
Anthropologists studying about the ancestors and ancestors' culture. Sociology is studying about this the current social behaviors and changes.
And babies are also responding. I know, I understand that. So you allow, some of you might be mothers. I'm really sorry for that, right? Okay, but anyway, I will try to wind up quickly. All right, okay. So you answer now. Of course, the anthropologist means actually the researchers actually they live in that context. They collect data by being a part of that culture, right? Okay. So you said studying about ancestors, like Vedas in culture and all. Is that the thing that you meant? The one who
Yes,
answered?
but yes.
Yes, it's correct. So even in African continent, many anthropologists are there who live with all these tribes, and they become part of that community, right? They won't say that they are researchers, but without saying, sometimes they might inform them, but sometimes might not, right? So they live with that community and then they study about it, right? But some sociologists might not collect data like that. He might get secondary data, right? Okay, might be the data which was collected by someone else, who might be in a magazine or might be in a data collection bank or somewhere, right? Through that, he would do a research. But an anthropologist would live in that community and he would get the first-hand data, and he would do the research. So even in Sri Lanka, our country also, there was a famous anthropologist. Who is that person? Who had done many researches regarding beggars in Sri Lanka. You know who that person is? No. Then that is your duty to find out who that person is. Professor, right? He was one of the professors. So find out.
Madam, Professor Nandasena.
What's his name? Nandasena?
Ratnapala.
Really, I can't remember the second name.
Ratnapala. Professor Nandasena Ratnapala. So he had done many research regarding beggars. How did he do that? He had disguised himself like a beggar and then lived with them for might be about 10 years or more than 10 years. And then he had done the research, right? Okay. So those are likewise, even in other cultures, many researchers, they do like that. So they get the first-hand data. They are known as anthropologists, right? Okay. So now with related to ethics, right? In research culture only we think about these ethics here. So what are research ethics actually? What are research ethics? Now, you know what you mean by research, no? So then there are some ethics that we need to follow, right? So what are research ethics? What do you think of it?
When we get information, we should not disturb their personality or something without destroying their.
Okay. That would be one aspect.
Madam, actually, there are some objectives now. And at the end, we will check whether we have achieved or not.
Achieved or not?
Yes, madam. When
Okay, how do you connect it to ethics, Putta?
Without hurting their feelings or feelings, we have to get the information. We should not reveal their identity sometimes.
Yes. So actually research ethics means research ethics like moral principles that guide researchers. And so there are some principles, moral principles that even though we are researchers, academics, of course, we can't collect data from anywhere, right? So we have to adhere to those ethics. There are some, like ethics means it's not a kind of a rule, but of course there are some ethics that we need to adhere to. So as you said, it's correct. We need to protect whoever the recipients, right? All the participants. Then we must not reveal their identities, right? And also we have to make sure that that we are not harming with this data, right? And also always we have to respect them and always observe their legal rights, right? And we need to adhere to their privacy, right? If we are suppose when we are doing a research in the school, if you wanted to collect data from the parents, so if one parents disagree, so you can't say no, you can't say no, you have to give me the details, like no, that's their privacy. So if they are disagreeing, then you have to convince them this is not something wrong would done. This is this is for the benefit of the students and all. That's why you are getting these information, right? So when you convince them, so sometimes they might agree, but still if they disagree, you can't do anything, right? Okay, so then you have to avoid that person and think of another person and get another parent, like. So there are things like that. So these are like the ethics. And even that parent disagree, so then you can't take revenge from the child itself. All right. This one's child is there in my class, so I need to right? So these are like ethics as researchers, as academics, that we have to adhere to. So when it comes to like discourse analysis, it's a kind of an important aspect that we need to consider, and is the ethics of the research, which necessarily affect the process of data collection. Even though in an ideal world, all participants in a project should have equal rights and power. So it's a fact that in general, the researcher has more power. Right? So when you are dealing with research, of course, you understand it. You might have done, even when you had your training period and all, right? Okay, so the researcher has more power than the participants in an experiment. So this power may come. Now, there are some scholars who had given some ideas about it. So Taylor, he says, from holding the status associated with being an academic and supposedly an expert. So expert person is the researcher, but it should, that person needs to understand whoever the recipient, whoever the person who gives you the information. In addition, the researcher has more information about the experiment than the subject, a fact which also contributes to his or her power. For example, the discourse analyst will know that the publication of a given conversation might bring some negative consequences, negative results to the participants of the conversation if their identities are revealed. And therefore, he or she should never publish the real names of the participants without their consent. If they have given their consent, of course, no problem. You can publish it or reveal it and you can make use of it. But if they are not, then we mustn't. So the researchers ought not to abuse their power. So it is an ethical requirement that the researcher obtain the consent of the participants before collecting the data. You have to get the permission from them and their consent. And not only to be involved in the study, but also to use the data they provide. So as a general, researchers have the obligations to these three things. First one is to protect all participants. So as a researcher, we have to protect all the participants. We must never use any kind of a data which would hinder their personality or their status, or sometimes might be their psychological mentality also, right? And second one is not harm them in any way, might be physically or might be mentally. And also always observe their legal rights. So we have to respect them, whoever the people that we are giving us data. That is, as academics, what we do is we are doing research for the benefit of the society. So therefore, for the benefit of the whole society, we must not hinder some others. So the people's privacy, freedom, we need to respect, and we have to allow them also. However, the principle of anonymity is not observed in discourse analysis. When the intention of the analyst is to denounce or condemn the speech or the writing of, now here with regard to our context, if suppose for an example, a given politician or an institution, suppose if we are studying, now discourse analysis means a kind of like conversation or a speech. Anyway, the language, no, what we are analyzing is the language context. So if it is a kind of a speech given by a politician, there we can reveal the person, right? Okay, who that person is. Now later on, I will, not today, but later on I will show you two different speeches given by two leading politicians in America, Mr. Obama and who was the other one? Can't remember his name. Anyway, two leading.
Donald Trump.
Trump, yes. Thank you for helping me. I couldn't recall his name. Yes, Donald Trump, right? So when you analyze those speeches, we know those who they are actually, right? So that is on the sake of discourse analysis. What we are doing is we are trying to analyze their discourse. They may have their own terminology, and also they may have reference words, right? So we analyze them. So in that case, identifying the person is not a harmful thing, right? Okay, but when we are collecting data for some other purpose in a school life, right? Okay, so if we are dealing with the issue with discipline and all, right? Okay, so then if you suppose you are revealing all these things, the data that you had collected, then that means you are violating, right? Okay, so with regard to discourse analysis, that's what it says here. With regard to not observed in DEA, discourse analysis, when the intention of the analyst is to denounce or condemn the speech or the writing of, for example, a given politician, or it can be an institution also. So we find numerous instances of this type of analysis within the approach called critical discourse analysis, right? Okay. So there's another thing that I want to tell. Here now, what are data collection procedures for empirical research? What do you mean by empirical? So what are the procedure or what are the data collection procedures? Get these three questions, William. First one is, what are research ethics? Later on, you can write it. Next time when you meet, we meet, we can discuss the answers. First one is, what are research ethics? Second one, what are data collection procedures for empirical research? Then third one, define qualitative research. What are data collection procedures for empirical? EMPIRICAL, empirical research. Third one, define qualitative research. Okay. Right. So next time when we meet, we can discuss it and try to find the answers. Read even from the net, of course, you can find it, but it's better if you can read more.
Can you read the first question, please?
First question,
Madam, second one also, madam.
Okay. What are research ethics? First one. Second one, what are data collection procedures for empirical research? Third one, define qualitative research. Okay. Anyway, next week, before coming to the class, now do you have this the reference book for university students? Have you collected it from the centers? Have they sent you?
Yes, ma'am. We got another 3. It's like same like module. Some not module really. Yes, we got it.
They are references.
You've been sent 2. We got 2. Yes.
Discourse for university students.
Yeah. Yes. That you need to read up to. If you have right now, just please, can one of you go through and tell me, just let me know. The first unit, they have like subtopics, no? Subtopics known as A1, A2, A3.
Original unit 1, introducing text linguistics and discourse analysis.
Okay, what is the second one?
The data. Unit 2. Unit 2 based on the data collection, transcribing the data.
Right. This is the book, right? Okay. The reference book which is for the university students, right? So what is discourse analysis? First one, under the introduction, under that you have 10 topics. First one is what is discourse analysis. Second one, text and texture. Third one, text and their social functions. Fourth one, discourse and ideology. Fifth one, spoken discourse. Sixth one, strategic. Seventh one, context, culture and communication. Eighth one, mediated discourse analysis. Ninth one, multimodal. Last one, 10th one is the corpus assisted. Now, I know it's really impossible for you to go through all 10. I'm not asking you to go through all 10, but at least up to 5 spoken discourse. Right? First one is what is discourse analysis, then text and texture, the difference between text and texture. And then third one is text and their social functions. Fourth one, discourse and ideology. Fifth one, spoken discourse. Up to that, can you go through it and make your own notes if possible? If possible, please make your own notes. If not, at least go through it and come. And jot down if there are any points or any things that you need to clarify. Can you mark them and come?
Okay.
Right. So you have to go through from the, it's only the introduction. Under that, subtopics are there. 5 topics only I am giving you. Those are very simple things actually, right? So what I want is I want you to read this book, because later on I will be handling this book only, right? Okay, so therefore for you it's better if you can make some notes and identify them and all. Some new terms might be there. If you come across with a new term, it's okay, jot down them and next day we will discuss it, right? Especially with up to the 5th one. They are named as A1, A2, A3, like that, subtopics. So up to A5 only you need to go through. That is spoken discourse.
Ma'am, what's the name of that book?
Still you couldn't find out the
No,
book.
madam, I couldn't.
I have given you all 3 reference books.
Teaching of English as a second language. That is the
No, this is known as discourse analysis. A
Yes,
resource
discourse
for
analysis.
students.
The same book today also we discussed from that book.
Yeah, Rodney H. Johns. The writer is Rodney H. Johns. Have you got it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
So read up to A5, 5th unit, not the 5th unit, actually subtopic. So make your own notes, because I thought I might not give any kind of note. Actually, no notes for me to give you, because I'm referring these 3 books only. So no need of giving another handout or anything. But when we are doing some activities or some text taken from some other sources, of course, I would tell you and send you, right? Okay. So I will wind up for today. So you have 2 tasks. One is to answer those 3 questions which I gave you, and the other one is to go through this resource book up to A5 and make notes. And if you need any clarifications, because these things are only the 5th one I need to do, spoken discourse, but the other things, of course, they are not new, very unfamiliar things to you now. All these subtopics are known to you now, because first day itself I did, right? Okay. That's all then. So we can wind up. If you have any questions or anything to clarify, just I will give 1 or 2 minutes. What are the 3 books? First one is this John's book, this resource book. Then the other one I had sent with a colorful cover. That is a guide for university students. I can't remember the title of it. That's a reference book for university
Discourse and it is for university students.
Yeah, that is the second one. Then the third one is George Yule's newest edition. George Yule, the linguist, he had written what is language? No, what is that? The language in use. The book The title of the book is Language in Use, I think. So am I correct? The others, please correct me.
Is it there in the group, ma'am?
I have already sent it to the center. So you have to collect it from the coordinator, whoever the person be in your center. Badul, of course, I have already sent. I could
think
remember
we
even
didn't receive, ma'am.
If you contact the coordinator, of course, you can get it, I think.
Okay, I'll do.
How about the others? Other centers? Now here, of course, we have from Badulla as well as Colombo and Kegwal.
In Colombo, I have no idea, ma'am. I just thought you are referring to the main reference supporting the course.
Not the manual. No, not the manual. The
Not
manual,
in
of course, there is. Have you received only the manual?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Then you have to get it. You have to get it. Ask your coordinator to get it from Shammi from Badulla, who is coordinating there. Right? Or else ask him to contact me. I will send you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, so then we'll call it a day. You don't have any other issues now? Right, okay. Let me check the chat. What are 3 books? That's all, no? Who had given the an answer in the sorry, I didn't see this answer, but it's correct, yes. An anthropologist is someone who studies people, their culture, and how they live. By living with them itself, they explore what makes us human and how societies work. Yeah. Question number 1, do you want me to repeat it? What are research ethics? That's all. Right, okay. So then no problems or no issues for you all. Okay, so then I will wind up. Good night to everyone and take care.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night.
Good night. Good night.